what if the absolute worst thing you could do with your life is um, try to be extraordinary?
I mean, it sounds like terrible advice, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Especially today.
Right, because if you open up your phone right now, you are practically guaranteed to be bombarded with like 1,000 different blueprints for how to conquer the world.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got the influencers telling you to wake up at 4 a.m., take an ice bath, and grind for that next promotion. You've got the financial gurus yelling at you to optimize your portfolio.
So you can finally be a millionaire. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, you have these intense spiritual movements telling you that the physical world is just a trap and that you need to brutally detach from all earthly desires and basically suffer your way to enlightenment.
Which just creates this massive psychological whiplash for people.
Totally.
You're constantly caught between this modern hustle culture that demands endless material output and then this sort of traditional asceticism that demands constant personal suffering. Neither of those extremes leaves much room for just existing.
Which is exactly why the source material we're jumping into today for this deep dive is so fascinating. We are looking at an excerpt from a philosophical text titled Priorities, the Order of Importance and the Emergence of Life.
Right, written by Sweifeng?
Yeah, written by Sweifeng and edited by Kair. And this text outlines the core principles of a framework called Lifechanyuan.
And our mission today is really to unpack this very specific alternative roadmap for life. Because Lifechanyuan roughly translates to an oasis or a courtyard for life, like a space designed to rethink our fundamental purpose.
Right.
And what this text does is challenge both of those extremes we just talked about. It offers a completely different definition of what a successful human existence actually looks like.
And essentially demands that we stop trying so hard to be gods and just start figuring out how to be people. Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand this roadmap, we kind of have to start with how the text tells us to view the lifespan itself.
Yeah. The author Sweifeng asks us to look at life from this macro perspective of life with a capital L.
And from that vantage point, a single human lifespan is described as just I love this phrasing, a flash of light in the infinite time and space of life.
Just a fleeting moment. And because it is so incredibly transient, the text argues that we have a massive responsibility to be deliberate about the routes we choose and the risks we take.
We can't afford to just wander blindly through that flash of light.
Exactly. We have to map it out.
And this brings us to the first really massive curveball in this text. Usually, when you read deeply spiritual philosophy, the ultimate goal is transcendence.
Oh, for sure. It's all about escaping the human form.
Right. The message is usually, you're human now, but you should strive to transcend that, become a god or a Buddha or an enlightened celestial being. But this text says the exact opposite.
It does. It explicitly states that the greatest creator, like the architect of the universe, made us specifically to be people, not ghosts, not devils, not celestial beings or Buddhas.
And,
what's fascinating here is the underlying logic of that design. The text actually argues that if we surrender our humanness, if we spend all our life, time, and energy trying to mutate into some higher spiritual form, we are actually committing a kind of cosmic insubordination.
wow.
Yeah, we're actively rejecting the specific nature we were assigned by the Creator.
And the text has a great analogy for this. It compares it to a company, boss, and a clerk. So imagine a boss hires someone specifically to be a clerk. Their whole job is to excel at clerk duties.
Wait,
Right?
filing papers, answering phones.
Exactly. But instead of managing the desk, the clerk spends every waking hour marching into the boss's office, begging to be promoted to section chief.
And in doing so, the clerk becomes entirely useless to the company. They are failing the exact job they were hired to do.
Yeah, they are being a clerk at all.
Right. And the text applies this directly to our spiritual journey. You only get promoted to section chief, meaning, you only attain a higher status like Buddhahood at the end of your journey after you have proven yourself to be a masterful, excellent clerk.
You have to be a good human first.
Exactly.
To give this a slightly more modern spin, it's like spending your entire 2-week, once-in-a-lifetime vacation in Paris, just frantically renovating your hotel room.
Oh, that's a perfect way to look at it.
Right. You're stripping the wallpaper, fixing the plumbing, trying to make the room perfect. And by the time you've upgraded the room, your 2 weeks are over. It's time to check out. And you never even stepped outside to see the Eiffel Tower.
You completely missed the experience of the location because you were obsessed with altering your status within it.
You missed the whole point of the trip. But, okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second here.
Sure.
If Our job is just to experience our humanity and be a good clerk. What does that actually entail? Like, is it supposed to be a struggle?
Yeah.
Because historically, a lot of philosophies suggest that virtue requires pain.
Yeah, we were absolutely taught that if you aren't suffering, you aren't growing. There is a very ingrained cultural narrative that suffering is inherently noble.
Right, no pain, no gain.
Exactly. But this source firmly rejects that idea. It states unequivocally that the greatest creator is great love, and the original intent in creating us was for us to enjoy life,
Not to suffer.
not to suffer at all.
Which almost feels, I don't know, rebellious to read out loud.
It really is a profound critique of traditional moralization. The text explicitly calls out these teachings that claim people can only obtain well-being in the afterlife by dragging themselves through affliction right now.
Yeah.
It argues that sacrificing your present life pleasures solely to focus on grace after death is actually against Tao.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, when it says against Tao, what exactly does that mean in this context?
Well, in this framework, Tao refers to the natural flow, like the fundamental operating system of the universe.
Okay.
So when the text says seeking suffering is against Tao, it means you are literally fighting the natural, joyous current of the universe. It just leads people entirely astray.
Which brings us to a really stark warning in the text about what it calls the devil's temptation.
Yes, the magical powers.
Right. It warns against intensely cultivating magical powers or esoteric arts to glorify yourself in the mortal world, especially if you do it at the expense of your basic family responsibilities.
Which raises an important question, right? Like, what are our modern magical powers? We don't really have people trying to learn alchemy today.
Exactly. But I think today's magical powers are the tech bro trying to biohack his way to living to 150,
Yeah.
or the crypto guy trying to manifest $1 billion empire overnight,
Oh, absolutely.
or the influencer obsessed with curating this flawless superhuman aesthetic online, and they're just ignoring their kids at the dinner table to do it.
They are abandoning their basic human duties to chase extraordinary status. And that is exactly what the author is dismantling here, our idolization of the extraordinary.
Yeah, the text actually provides a very specific list of people the author refuses to worship.
He does. He refuses to pay tribute to heroes of the battlefield, celebrities, millionaires, outstanding entrepreneurs, emperors, or even mortal Buddhas.
I mean, it literally reads like a who's who of everyone society tells us we should admire.
Because society tells us that success means being elevated above the crowd. But the author states, I only pay tribute to ordinary, simple, honest, and hardworking people.
Wow.
Why? Because those are the lives that actually conform to the way of being mankind. They are doing the job they were hired for. They're enjoying the trip to Paris.
And the imagery the text uses to describe our obsession with extraordinary success is just incredibly vivid. It talks about how hyping up celebrities and billionaires disturbs the human heart.
Yeah, the single plank bridge?
Yes, it causes people to crowd onto a single plank bridge and forget the real meaning of life. Just picture that. You have this beautiful, wide-open landscape where you could just exist, breathe, and be an honest person.
But instead, everyone is terrified.
Right. Everyone is elbowing each other in the throat, trying to balance on this tiny, precarious plank just to reach a pedestal of wealth or fame that wasn't even meant for them in the first place.
We basically manufacture our own misery by crowding onto that plank. We convince ourselves that being ordinary is a failure, when the text argues that the ordinary life is the only authentic life.
But I'm struggling with that just a little bit.
How so?
Well, if I step off that crowded bridge, if I actively ignore the pursuit of external wealth or climbing the corporate ladder, won't I just become totally disconnected from the real world?
Yeah.
Like, does this philosophy just want us to sit in an empty room meditating and being ordinary all day? What do we actually do with our flash of light?
That is where the text transitions from theory to action. It actually lays out a very explicit four-step hierarchy.
Okay.
It's a clear set of priorities for how to spend your life once you step off that bridge, and it ranks them by importance and urgency.
Okay, let's start with priority number 1, which it calls the paramount thing, the absolute foundation.
Yeah.
And that is reverence for the greatest creator, which it says translates directly into reverence for nature and reverence for life.
And it is incredibly specific here.
Yeah. It lists animals, beasts, insects, fish, trees, flowers, and grass.
Notice how grounded that is, right? Reverence for nature doesn't just mean looking at a nice sunset and feeling peaceful. It means actively recognizing the interconnectedness of all those things.
It's
Practical. Very. The text frames ecological destruction not just as a physical or political crisis, but as a deep spiritual failure.
It actually says that if we treat nature as a mere appendage-like, if we treat insects and grass as dirt that we can just pave over, we are defying the Creator.
Yeah.
We make our lives evil, and we are basically doomed to extinction.
Because if you view the natural world, the very environment that sustains your flash of light, as disposable, you inevitably start viewing other humans as disposable.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, if you can't respect the smallest creations sharing this space, you're failing your primary duty as the cosmic clerk.
Which perfectly sets up priority number 2. The text calls this the first thing to consider. Once you have established that baseline reverence for nature, the first thing you actively pursue is the beauty of the soul. And here's where it gets really interesting, because the text sets up a sharp, zero-sum contrast. It says we must pursue the beauty of the soul rather than the accumulation of power, money, fame, and desirable people.
It is a direct rejection of our default metrics for success. I mean, in our society, we measure a person's worth by their external accumulation. What do they own? Who do they know?
How much leverage do they have?
Exactly. This framework flips that entirely inward.
And the text does not mince words about the mechanics of what happens if you get this wrong. It warns that if a person's mind is not beautiful and their soul is dirty, their life is a definite failure.
It's a strong warning.
It really is. It says they are bound to slip into hell and keep company with devils, demons, and beasts. But, it's not talking about a cartoonish underworld with pitchforks, right?
No, it's describing more of a psychological and spiritual gravity. If you spend your life accumulating power through greed, manipulation, or stepping on others, you are cultivating a corrupted internal state.
And a corrupted internal state naturally gravitates toward a corrupted reality.
Exactly. You attract other greedy, manipulative people. You build a life of paranoia and isolation. You literally build your own hell by neglecting the beauty of your soul in favor of material hoarding.
Okay, so I am revering the grass, the insects,
Okay.
and I am prioritizing my internal character over my bank account. But again, doesn't that get boring?
All right.
Yeah, like, if I'm stripping away the pursuit of all these worldly thrills, where is the joy in this ordinary life?
Well, that leads directly to priority number 3, which is labeled the most important thing. This is where the intellect and the spirit get to actively engage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the most important thing is to explore the mysteries of the universe and the meaning of life.
So being ordinary and simple does not mean being ignorant or stagnant.
Exactly. The greatest creator, according to the text, actively rewards those who seek wisdom and explore these mysteries with wonderful spiritual enjoyment.
There's an active joy in it.
Right. There is a profound, sustainable joy to be found in genuine curiosity.
But there is a massive trap here, too. The text warns that if we affix our eyes only to limited time and space, which I read as, getting caught up in the petty dramas of the day, the office politics, the neighborhood gossip.
Oh, definitely.
Or worse, if we fixate solely on meeting the needs of our lust, we are going to lose our way. The phrase the author uses is so striking, the water of life will evaporate.
Think about the physics of evaporation, though. It's a slow, quiet loss of substance.
Yeah.
If you spend your transient flash of light entirely focused on base, temporary gratifications, your spiritual vitality simply dries up. You leave nothing lasting behind. You are just an empty vessel by the time the flash fades.
Which brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. Priority number 4. The text calls this the most urgent thing.
And this is a big one.
Yeah, the urgent task is elevating the non-material structure of life, which is our spiritual nature, toward higher spaces, and sublimating our personalities. So what does this all mean? Can we explain it like I'm 5 on sublimating our personalities? What does that actually look like on a random Tuesday afternoon?
Sublimating your personality basically means refining your knee-jerk human reactions into something higher. So on a Tuesday afternoon, it looks like this. Someone cuts you off aggressively in traffic.
Okay, classic.
Right. The baseline, unsublimated personality wants to rage, honk the horn, and let that anger ruin the next hour of your day.
Guilty as charged.
We all are. But sublimating that personality means catching that instinct, recognizing it as a useless expenditure of your flash of light, and consciously choosing grace or indifference instead. You are actively restructuring how your spirit responds to the physical world.
You are upgrading the software of your soul, essentially.
Exactly.
But why is this specific task labeled as the most urgent priority above everything else?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the urgency comes from the brutal, fundamental unpredictability of existence. The text delivers a very stark reality check. none of us actually know what will happen tomorrow.
Right. It's uncomfortable to think about, but we could literally die tomorrow.
And the text argues that the only certain thing is that our life structures, that non-material spiritual essence, that software you just mentioned, will determine our ultimate ending.
Wow.
If you die tomorrow, all the material things you own in the mortal world instantly vanish. The crypto wallet, the perfect aesthetic, the corner office, they are gone in an instant.
And the text says all those efforts will be in vain, and our precious lives will have been wasted for nothing.
Right.
Because if everything you built was physical, and the physical is taken away, you are left completely empty-handed at the end of the journey.
That is the core logic of the entire framework. Everything in life must revolve around perfecting that non-material structure because that is the only thing that survives the end of the flash of light.
That makes total sense.
That's why it is the most urgent. You cannot put it off until tomorrow because tomorrow is not guaranteed.
It is a complete inversion of how we usually prioritize our days. Usually the physical things, the emails, the bills, the gym, the networking, those are the urgent things.
Oh, absolutely.
We just leave the spiritual or internal work for someday when things calm down.
Yeah.
This text demands we flip that entirely.
It demands we recognize the difference between what feels urgent to society and what is actually permanent.
So to synthesize all of this, we are looking at a philosophy from Lifechanyuan that presents a profoundly different metric for a successful human experience.
Yeah.
It argues that trying to be a god or a celebrity or a billionaire is a massive trap. It's a cosmic form of insubordination. It's crowding onto a dangerous single-plank bridge that leads to a wasted life.
Right, because you aren't doing the job you were hired for.
Exactly. Instead, the ultimate achievement is simply to be an excellent, ordinary human. You revere nature down to the grass and the insects, understanding that everything is connected.
Yeah.
You prioritize the beauty of your internal character over external wealth, so you don't build your own personal hell. You passionately explore the mysteries of the universe, and you urgently refine your spiritual reactions, knowing that tomorrow is just a giant question mark.
It's a roadmap that strips away the artificial, exhausting complexities of modern life. It asks us to stop fighting our human nature and start refining it, to just enjoy the trip to Paris.
I really love how the author, Sui Feng, closes this section of the text. He offers a deeply humble disclaimer. He writes, "Swimming is of no importance, but what is important is that Lifechanyuan can lead a person's life into an infinitely wonderful world."
Wow.
Yeah, he completely removes his own ego from the equation. It's not about worshiping the messenger. It's about actually walking the path.
Which perfectly reinforces the entire message, right?
Yeah.
It is the great way of life, and it is available to absolutely anyone who is willing to embrace the profound beauty of being ordinary.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I really want you to think about this alternative roadmap. If your life truly is just a fleeting flash of light in the infinite expanse of time, and your ultimate purpose is simply to be an excellent human rather than a CEO or an influencer or a flawless ascetic.
Take a look at your calendar or your to-do list for tomorrow.
Yeah. How many of the things stressing you out right now, the things keeping you awake at night, actually belong on that crowded, precarious single-plank bridge to nowhere? And what would it look like for you to finally just step off of it?